Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to today's video. Today we are talking about Saturn and Saturn's retrograde. Saturn is currently retrograde. It went into retrograde motion on the 23rd of May and it will stay retrograde until October 10th or 11th, depending on where you are. Saturn is a slow moving planet. It takes 2 to 3 years for Saturn to transit through the signs because it's an outer planet. It's one of the further away planets, so it takes a long time just to transit through each sign. It is currently in the sign of Aquarius. It went into Aquarius in December 2020 and it will stay in Aquarius until March 2023. Whichever house Aquarius rules for you is where Saturn's focus is for you, which is where that main area of your lessons, of your growth, of your karma, where you're facing your obstacles and challenges, where you probably feel the most insecure. And so it's very important to know your house Aquarius rules or your rising sign. If you follow sidereal astrology, you can just use Capricorn instead of Aquarius because he's in the constellation of Capricorn. So Saturn is known as the planet of hard work, commitment, dedication. Saturn is a teacher and he wants you to learn through persistence, through hard work. He wants you to earn your success. Saturn does not give you things for free. Saturn gives rewards for a job well done. So if you have been working hard on yourself, if you've been working hard on a particular goal, if you've really been putting in the effort to be better and do better in any area of life, and especially if you feel like it's kind of been to no avail, Saturn retrograde is going to give you some good reward for that. Saturn retrograde is going to be a very auspicious time for getting good karma back if you've been putting in the effort towards whatever. So while Saturn is retrograde, it really gives you the chance for things really slow down, and it really gives you the chance to be able to see the lessons that Saturn has been bringing you during this phase since December 2020. And it almost is like a bit of a easing off of obstacles, of challenges, and it makes things a little bit more obvious where it is that you need to change, where it is that you need to grow, and what it is that you need to work on, and almost takes the pressure off a little bit, and is actually a very beneficial time and really helps you to notice what it is that needs changing. So we're going to look at the houses today. Like I said, it doesn't matter whether you follow sidereal or tropical astrology. We're going to look at the houses today. So if you have an Aquarius first house, or if you have an Aquarius rising sign, the first house is all about the self, your appearance, your body, your attitude, your personality, your mannerisms, your first impressions that you give people. So this is where your main area of lessons and growth is going to be from December 2020 to March 2023. Whatever it is that you maybe don't like about yourself, that you need to change, that you feel insecure about, is going to come to the surface during the retrograde time, and you might finally get the motivation to make that change. Let's say, for example, you are unhappy with your weight, if you're unhappy with your appearance in any way, and Saturn is going to give you that boost of motivation to finally start developing a good eating pattern or routine, develop a good relationship with food, to start exercising. If you have always hated your teeth, for example, maybe you finally decide that now's the time where you're going to get braces, or you're going to get Invisalign or something like that. And whatever it is that you are feeling unfulfilled with or feeling unhappy with in terms of your body, yourself, who you are, Saturn retrograde is going to make it a little bit more obvious for you and make it more so, give you a bit more inspiration to help you make that change. For some of you guys, it's going to be more of just a mindset change. You need to learn to love and accept yourself and learn to love and accept that part of you so that you can, when you come to the end of this transit by March 2023, you should be at a place in life where you feel very happy and content with who you are, very happy and content with your physical body, with your vessel. So anything, if you're not feeling that at the minute, the retrograde is going to point that out. Now, there could also be areas of life where you don't notice it. Say there's something about your personality that you don't even notice is an issue. Pay attention during the retrograde time if certain people point something out about you, point something out about your ego or your personality or your mannerisms. Especially if it's more than one person comes to you and says something about you, they could be coming through you, like that could be Saturn coming through to try and point that out to you. But Saturn could be working through you through your dreams, through, like I said, other people, through your thoughts, through how you feel, through overhearing other conversations through people. So take note of what it is in regards to you that comes up during the retrograde period so that you can change that and evolve that and grow from that. This could be a time where you feel extra insecure about yourself and you feel extra insecure about the way you look in some way. And again, that's just Saturn trying to push you, because unfortunately the way humans learn is we need to sometimes hit rock bottom. We need to feel really low before we actually are like, right, I need to make a change. So if you feel extra insecure about a certain part of yourself, that's just Saturn wanting you to make that change so that you're not insecure about it anymore. So you make that change, so you do something and feel good about yourself. So yeah, pay attention to what comes up during Saturn retrograde. If you've like really worked on all that, and this could actually just be a very good time for you where you don't have any lessons about this because you're already very content with who you are, and this could just be a very good time where you're feeling really good about yourself, where you're feeling really content, where you have a lot of people complimenting you and complimenting your appearance. And you know, it really depends on everybody's individual life and individual lessons. So if you have Saturn transiting your second house, or if you are a Capricorn rising, then Saturn is going to be bringing you lessons or obstacles around money, around your job, around your work, around your values in life. And it's very possible a lot of people during a Saturn second house transit, a lot of people experience some financial difficulties. You feel like you have just a lot of challenges in terms of your finances, and that's because Saturn's really trying to teach you the true value of life, what's truly important. What do you truly prioritize in your life? Where have you been prioritizing money over your relationship with your friends and family? Where have you been prioritizing your job over your social life? Or where have you not been prioritizing your work and your finances, and you've been too lackadaisy and not focusing on the seriousness of, I need to get my finances in order? Where have you just been allowing yourself to be in debt or struggle? So what really matters for you guys is really going to come up to the surface during the retrograde time, and it's going to be more apparent to you. If you have been feeling really unfulfilled at your job and you really want to go and pursue a career of where you're an artist or you're a creative, or you want to go and do your own thing, this might become a lot more apparent during the retrograde. Or where you have been prioritizing anything to do with your work, your money, over your happiness, over your fulfillment, over what's truly, truly important in life. And this is where your main lessons lie. It's not uncommon for people to have like things in terms of their material goods break, or you lose things, or things just happen, or Yes, it's because Saturn's trying to teach you what's important. You know, you go out there and you spend £500 on a brand new handbag for it to only break a week later, then that's Saturn trying to teach you, hey, listen, you didn't need to spend that money on this. Get your priorities in line. So again, depends on everybody's individual life, how this is going to individually affect them. But it's really about your values. Where are you truly placing your energy, and where should you truly be placing your energies to feel more fulfilled in life? Because Saturn wants to see us grow, and Saturn wants to see us be happy and living our best lives. So this is the area of life that's going to be a focus for you guys up until March 2023. And the retrograde is going to give you the chance to recognize a bit easier what it is Saturn's been trying to teach you, so that by the end of this in March 2023, you have a healthy relationship with money, a healthy relationship with your job. If you need to make that decision to leave your job and move somewhere else, and hopefully by the end of the transit, you will have done that. And, you know, to have a healthy relationship with whomever or whatever is important in your life, and truly, truly important in your life. So, yeah. If you have a third house Saturn transit, so if you are a Sagittarius rising, Saturn is going to be asking you to learn about your relationship with your head and your heart, but your head and your voice. And you might find that during this transit, you might have people are just not understanding what you're saying. There's miscommunications, people are not getting the point that you're trying to make. And it's asking you to develop that good connection between your head, what you mean, what you think, and how you communicate that, how you express that. A very fantastic example is my best friend is currently going through her Saturn third house transit, and she went on a date with a guy, and afterwards, you know, she told him, you know, listen, I'm not really interested, it's not really going to go anywhere. And he didn't get the message, and she sort of relayed it to him twice until she was talking to me about it, and he was asking her to go out again. And it's like, and I'm an Aries, and I'm like, you need to be blunt, and you need to just tell him, and you need to just be straight up that, listen, you're a nice guy and all, but it's just not going to happen. And you need to be very blunt with what you mean. And so she went in a very nice way, she was, and she had to say that, but she had to reiterate herself like 3 times before this guy got the message. And, you know, it all worked out fine. It was all, like I said, no one was mean to anyone. But this is what I mean. People could not understand, or there could be miscommunications between you. So make sure that everybody's on the same page. The third house rules the mind, how you think, and your mind could feel very all over the place during this transit. Very, very important for you, very important for everyone, but especially important for you guys to meditate, to practice mindfulness, to take time to really slow down your thoughts, because your thoughts could definitely be all over the place. But a big one is your communication, how you communicate with people, and making sure that you could have to have some uncomfortable conversations. You could have to really put up some boundaries and just really have to stand up for yourself and express yourself. If you're a teacher or a speaker or anything like that as well, you know, make sure everybody's understanding what it is that you're trying to teach or what you're trying to say. So communication is a main theme. And while Saturn is retrograde, wherever it is that you're not getting the lesson, or wherever it is that needs improvement in this communication for area, is where Saturn's going to point it out to you. It's going to become a little bit easier for you to recognize it. So again, for my best friend, it was literally only not yesterday, the day before. So the day Saturn went retrograde, I was able to point out to her and say, no, listen, you need to be blunt and tell him this and this. And that was Saturn retrograde, making it more obvious to her what it was that she needed to do. And the third house also deals with siblings, neighbours, and early education. So highly doubt early education is going to be relevant to anybody watching this, but it is probably relevant to children, young children that are in primary school, early school, and their early education and growth. This could just be, it just gets pointed out to them a bit more where they're struggling maybe with school or struggling with learning something. But that's for the young children. So if you have a child that's going through a third house transit, then give them a little bit extra time to process and understand what it is that they're trying to learn or teach, or what you're trying to teach them. And again, it's about your siblings or your neighbours. Wherever your relationship with your siblings or your neighbours needs some fixing, needs some a little bit of growth between you guys, will become more apparent. This could, it doesn't have to, it could show up in the way of like an argument, in terms of, you know, it's just going to come apparent where you're not on the same level or where your relationship needs a little bit of work. Now, if you guys have a good relationship with your siblings or your neighbours or anything like that, and that's not relevant, you know, this could again be a very good time where you have your relationship with your siblings improves, or with your neighbours improves, and everything's going great, and your communication with your siblings could improve, and your bond could actually deepen with them. So it really depends on everybody's own individual life and lessons. So if you are a Scorpio rising, you have Saturn transiting your fourth house. Now, the fourth house is all about your family life, your home life, where you feel at home in your body. It's about self-care. It's about mothers and femininity and women in general, and your children. So wherever it is that needs improvements in this area, if you still have some wounds in regards to your mother, this could get pointed out to you during the retrograde period. If you are not feeling 100% content within your home, or within your home, your body, because this is our home for our soul. You know, our house is our home for our physical body. Our body is our home for our soul. So wherever you don't feel at home in either of these places is going to get pointed out to you. Wherever your self-care needs to improve, you know, however you need to look after yourself, look after your physical vessel, look after your soul, is going to get pointed out to you. If there's certain things in terms of your house, if you've been wanting to renovate, if you've been wanting to move, if you've been wanting to do anything to change your home, then Saturn retrograde might make that a little bit more apparent to you, so that you do that, because Saturn wants everyone to be happy. Saturn wants everyone to grow and be the best they can be and feel comfortable. So by the time Saturn has transited through your fourth house, and so by March 2023, you should feel very comfortable in who you are, very comfortable with your life, very happy within your home, within your body, and your relationship with your children should have improved. Wherever wherever the dynamic between you and your children, if you have children, wherever that needs a little bit of work, is again going to get pointed out to you. It'll become a little bit more obvious to you. It could be just in the way that you just have this idea one day and you're like, I need to start speaking to them in this sort of way, or like, I need to understand that this is how they communicate and not get offended by that. Or however it is, however your relationship dynamic with your children can be grown upon and worked upon, is going to become a little bit more apparent during the retrograde period, but is overall going to be worked on up until March 2023. Your emotions could be a little bit heightened at this time, but again, that self-care is just very important for you guys, very important for you. I would not be surprised if there's purging during this time. if there's emotional purging, if you just feel like there's things that you need to release from your body. And again, that's just in order for you to feel a lot more happy with where you're at. So if you are a Libra rising, or you have your Saturn transiting your 5th house. So the 5th house is, this is actually, could be a very good time for you guys. The 5th house is all about romance, fun, creativity, creation. So like fertility, pregnancy, because when you are pregnant, you are creating a human life. That's why pregnancy and fertility comes under the 5th house and not like the 4th house with children. It comes under the 5th because it's part of creation. Your childlike spirit, your exuberance, your self-expression, your joy, and all of this is expressed through the 5th house. Now, in any areas where you've not been having enough fun, where you've not been expressing yourself enough, where you've not been loving life and living life to the fullest, it's going to get pointed out to you. Or wherever you've been living life too much fun, where you've been neglecting your responsibilities, where you have been shying away from your work and you've been focusing too much on your social life than your work life, you've been playing too hard and not working hard enough, it's going to get pointed out during the retrograde period. It's going to give you a chance for lessons to ease off a bit so that you can see, right, okay, I've not been prioritizing my work. Oh, right, I've been prioritizing my work way too much and I need to start having some fun and I need to start relaxing a bit more. And if any of you guys have had any, like, you know, if you've ever wanted to do something like go skydiving or bungee jumping or any sort of like adrenaline junkie or thrill seeking thing, that desire might become a lot stronger during the retrograde period. Anybody who has 5 energy, you know, so if you're a life path 5 or destiny number 5 or whatever, these are very like fun, exciting people. These are people who do not fear death. These are people who live life to the fullest and they love to party, they love to socialize, they are very social, very extroverted people. You could feel a whole boost of this energy, especially during the retrograde time. But again, if you've been putting too much of that energy in and you've been neglecting your responsibilities, that's also going to get pointed out to you during this time. So again, take note of what comes up during the retrograde period, because when Saturn goes direct, things are going to be like back to normal. You know, we get a bit of a break during the retrograde to actually take a step back and see, all right, yeah, Saturn's been trying to teach me this. So when Saturn goes direct again, everything's back into motion. So take note in the areas of, oh yeah, it's also about romance and love, and you know, you could be feeling a lot more flirtatious and you could be going on a lot more dates. So you could, especially if you've been single for a long time, during the retrograde period could be a time where you get some dates, you know, you finally get, you know, some people, you know, you just finally start to get a little bit more attention. You finally start to feel a bit more good about yourself and a bit more like, a bit more social. You feel more fun. You feel like you know, have the confidence to go out and do these things. But again, if you don't feel like that, Saturn wants you to feel like that, and he's going to point that out to you of where you need to embrace that. You know, if you get more opportunities to go out more, to socialize more, if you get your friends inviting you out to places, don't shy away from it. Take this time, you know, unless you've been doing it too much. And again, your lesson is to take it easy and to do some more work and to get your responsibilities in check. But if you've not been going out and having as much fun, you know, take these opportunities whenever your friends invite you places, whenever you get the urge to go to a certain event or do something, take it, because you just need to learn to live and enjoy life more. And when you're doing that, you know, you'll be feeling a lot more good about yourself and life. Okay. So when Saturn is transiting your 6th house, or if you are a Virgo rising, this is a time where it's going to be a lot about your work life routines, your health, your fitness, your pets, your service to other people, how generous you are, your charity work, and how much you do for others without expecting return. So these are all your themes up until March 2023. So you could find that, you know, if you've been really unhappy with the way that if you've been unhappy with your weight or something like that, Saturn retrograde is finally going to give you that push to start exercising, to start going to the gym, to develop a good eating pattern. If you've not been looking after your body in some way, it's going to get a little bit more obvious during the retrograde. And if you need to go to the doctor and go get something checked out, if you need to start looking after yourself and eating better and exercising, again, that's going to get more apparent during the retrograde. And it can come in ways of you being down on yourself about it, you feeling a little bit more insecure about it. It doesn't have to, though. You could just generally just get the motivation to get up and do these things, and just make sure that you stick with it. So if you've been over exercising as well, that's going to get pointed out to you. And if you've been overdoing it, if you've been overworking yourself, if you've been pushing yourself too hard, Saturn's going to ask you to slow down during this retrograde period and to prioritize yourself and your self-care, where if you've been giving a lot to other people, if you've been being very generous with your time and with your energy, a 6th house Saturn transit can make you feel like you're constantly having to help other people, to do other things for other people, and you can sometimes feel like you don't get anything for it. And you should do things to no return, but make sure that you are not lowering your boundaries and doing things that you don't want to do all the time, being a people pleaser and going out of your way all the time to do things for other people because they ask. Yes, we should do this, but at the same time, learn healthy boundaries in that. But if you've not been doing things for other people, if you've been, people have been asking you for help and you've been turning it down, expect Saturn retrograde to give you a little bit of karma for that. If you need help from other people, I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't get it. But if you've been doing them good deeds and been giving hand, doing things for other people, then Saturn's really going to reward you during the retrograde time, and you're really going to get some good karma for all the work that you've been doing and all the ways in which that you've been helping other people. Pets is also a focus at this time. If you've not been looking after your pets, or if you have, or if you need to get your pets checked out in any way, that again is just going to become apparent. Your relationship with your pets could improve or worsen. All depends on your individual life with them. If you've got a good relationship with your pets, then you probably got nothing to worry about and it might not even be relevant. But the main sort of focuses are your health and your fitness, really looking after your body, making sure you're not overworking and making sure that you are not underworking either. And your work habits, your daily routines, your day-to-day job is shown through the 6th house. Your long-term career and life goals and, your absolute dream job, that's more in terms of the 10th house and our 11th, because your goals and dreams are in the 11th house. But your long-term career is the 10th house. Your day-to-day job is the 6th house. Where you have not been putting in enough effort at work is going to get pointed out to you, and your boss could be a little bit harder on you during this time. If you have been working really hard at your job, you could get, that reward for it. You could get a recognition for it. You could get a raise for it. It all really depends on you and your individual life, but wherever you have been putting in work, Saturn's going to reward you, and wherever you've not been putting in work, Saturn's going to make that more obvious for you so that you do put in the work. Because again, Saturn's all about hard work and commitment and dedication, and he doesn't give you things for free. He gives you rewards for your work, for your job well done. So, yeah. If you have a 7th house Saturn transit, so if you are a which one is it? If you are a Leo rising, then your relationships are going to be at the forefront at this time. Whatever lessons or things that you need to work on in terms of your relationships, whatever your relationship with other people really needs work and needs growth, is again going to become more apparent during the retrograde. Anywhere where you need to set healthy relationships, where you need to really improve your connection with other people, is going to be at the forefront. For some people, you could have, if you have a wedding planned, you could have delays in terms of your wedding because the Saturn rules delays, unfortunately. But for others, if any of you guys are looking to get into a new relationship, or even if it's just a friendship or work relationship, work deal, then take your time to develop it. This is not really during the retrograde period. It's not really the time where you want to just jump in to new relationships or jump into new friendships, because Saturn wants you to take things easy. Saturn wants you to slow down and, you know, not make any impulsive decisions. If this is somebody that you have been interested in for a long time and you were interested in them way before the retrograde happened or begun, you know, then maybe during the retrograde you might actually have that boost to take things to the next level, to, you know, actually initiate a relationship between you two. But the 7th house is really all about the other. The 1st house is all about the self, you, your physical body, your vessel, your ego. The 7th house is about the other people in your life, your partners, your relationships, marriages, your business partners, equality, and, you know, how you share with other people and how you share your connection, how you share intimately, how you share you and yourself with other people. So if you are in any unhealthy relationships, Saturn retrograde could definitely make you want to finally cut them out. And I could see a lot of people, if you're in an unhealthy relationship, you could finally break up with that person. You could finally, even if it's just a friendship, you could finally end that friendship or situation, because again, Saturn wants us to be happy. Saturn wants us to grow into our best selves, and we can't be our best selves if we have unhealthy connections in our life that are weighing us down and holding us back. So, you know, you can look at that as like a difficult thing or a difficult, upsetting time, but really it is all just for the best. So if there's any relationships where there's friction, you know, you really need to assess, is this what I need to fix in this relationship, or is it time for this relationship to go? Is it time for me to leave this relationship and go? Again, it all depends on everybody's individual life, but if you're in healthy relationships, your relationships could definitely improve at this time. If you've been putting in the effort and putting in the work and you have a good relationship with everyone around you, then this is going to be a really good time for you where your relationships thrive, your relationships improve even more so, even if you didn't think they could, where your connection with other people just gets so much better, your friendships deepen, your relationships deepen, your work life deepens. And again, just depends on everybody's individual life, but your main theme of lessons, growth, karma, obstacles up until March 2023 is all about other people, understanding other people, connecting with other people, and how you relate to them. So if you are going through an 8th house transit, so if you are a Cancer rising, this is going to be a very transformative time for you guys. I've just gone through my 8th house Saturn transit. I'm currently in my 9th house Saturn transit, so I know what it's like. I can like remember what it's like to go through an 8th house transit. And let me tell you guys, you will not be the same afterwards. This is a very transformative time for you. It can be difficult at the start. Again, it depends on everybody's individual life. It can be a difficult time at the start. If you feel like you've been struggling with certain aspects or certain things, certain, you know, your relationship with other people, especially if it is in terms of intimacy, sex, your connection to other people, if especially it's in terms of relationships with other people, if there have been some struggles, some challenges, some obstacles since December, then that's just to do with your 8th house transit, and it's because Saturn's trying to give you, Saturn's just trying to help you grow in this area so that you truly understand how to connect and to truly learn what true intimacy is with somebody, what a true connection is with somebody. You know, when I was going through the start of my 8th house transit, you know, there was a very difficult, toxic, like, relationships that I had with other people, and I was single for a good chunk of it because I was getting involved with people who didn't have my best interest at heart, that didn't connect with me emotionally, and I was caught up in toxic cycles. And during the end of my 8th house transit, well, during the last year of it anyway, I met my boyfriend, and this is like the healthiest, happiest relationship I've ever been in, you know, and he's shown me what true intimacy is, what a true healthy connection is, which is very much the opposite of how the transit started. So from leaning in from my 7th house into my 8th house, but you will learn about what a true connection is with yourself as well, how you truly connect and feel about yourself, how, you know, you might ask to really be vulnerable with yourself, with other people, and it can be uncomfortable, but again, it's all for that growth, it's all for that transformation. It's a very beneficial time for you guys, and it's a very, very good time for you guys, even if it feels like it's very challenging at the minute. So while Saturn is retrograde, it's going to give you a little bit of a break. You get a bit of a break from the karma, the lessons, the growth. A lot of you guys could really struggle with just how you feel about yourself and how you feel about your life. The retrograde is going to give you a little bit of a break from that, and it's going to help you to see what it is that you need to work on, what it is that you need to change, and where it is that you need to grow. So pay attention to the signs. Can be anything. The signs can be dreams, they can be other people communicating with you, they can be, you know, the way you think and feel, certain intuitive thoughts that you keep getting, you know, and pay attention. It could be things that you read or hear about. The 8th house is also about shared finances, loans, inheritances, taxes. This could be a time where money is just a bit of a thing for you guys. You guys could have loans out. You guys could finally be paying those off. You guys could have to take out a loan. You guys could have to ask for help with your money, and don't feel any shame about that. That's part of the growth. That's part of what you're meant to go through. Again, for some of you guys, you could be paying stuff off finally. But for any of you guys that do have to take out loans, if you're struggling with money, if you have to ask for help, that's just part of this 8th house transit. Don't feel down on yourself about it. It's part of the lessons that Saturn is bringing you. And the 8th house is all about authority as well. Your relationship with authority figures could also come in the limelight, with your boss, with your parents, with teachers, with anything like that. The personal power is a theme, and how you take back your personal power. So like me with like these relationships, I was giving them my power. I was giving my power to toxic relationships and toxic people that like had no intention of giving me theirs, and I was just giving away my power to them. And it wasn't until I really took my power back and really embraced, I don't know, really just owned my own self and really had boundaries and didn't allow other people to walk all over me, and I really stood up for what I wanted in my life and what I expected, and I took my power back, then things really started to change for me. So your personal power could come under the limelight. Your partner's resources come under the limelight. If you're married, and it's what your partner can bring to the table, if they need to help you out, if you need to help them out. And as well as things like mystery, paranormal stuff, and all this kind of things that are hidden as well. You could find that you're a bit more interested in things like this. You could find that you're a little bit more interested in things like paranormal stuff, occult stuff, mysterious stuff like that. But yeah, Saturn is going to show you during the retrograde where you need to heal in any of these kind of areas, where you need to grow and where you need to take back your power or give other people, like start being more vulnerable with other people, or where you need to, you know, your lessons around money and stuff like that. So the retrograde is going to give you a time to slow down and give you a bit of a break and to assess what it is that needs to be changed. So if you are going through your 9th house Saturn transit, so if you are Gemini rising like myself, the 9th house is all about travel, wisdom and philosophy, higher education, so like secondary school, university or college, law, religion, different cultures, cross-cultural relationships, and just learning and education in general. So something for me, a good example of this is, for the last few months, I have been really interested in Japan. I have started following people on YouTube that live in Japan. I started following Instagram pages all about Japan, and, you know, just totally out of curiosity, just totally out of, like, you know, me and my boyfriend have a desire to go and live in Japan one day. And yeah, it's just a very, like, it's a very good example of that Saturn 9th house transit. I've been learning education, all about 9th house, about a different country, a different culture, again 9th house themes, that I want to travel to, again 9th house themes. So that's just a really good example of a Saturn in the 9th house transit, and it works in a very subtle way. Like, I didn't intend any of that. So when we have a retrograde in the 9th house, any area where you feel insecure in terms of your education, anything that you need to learn could come up to the surface. If you've got a desire to take a new course or to learn anything, that could be a lot more prominent during the retrograde period. Retrograde could really be trying to push you to do that, to finally take that course, to finally, you know, enroll in school, or to finally learn more about that subject that you've been wanting to learn about. And if you are currently doing something, if you are currently in university or doing a course, you could feel a little bit insecure about it. You could start to feel overwhelmed. You could start to feel like, is this too much for me? Have I taken on too much of a thing? Am I going to be able to complete this in time? Is this all too big of a subject for me to grasp? Am I going to do well? You could have your insecurities around your travel. Am I really going to travel? Am I going to fulfill my travel desires? You know, and any of this stuff, any of you guys that have some sort of court date or court case or anything to do with the law, could also come up during the retrograde. That could also come to a resolution during the retrograde period. So yeah, retrograde's going to give you the time to slow down and to assess what areas that you need to, if you need to take that course, if you need to start learning about a different culture, if you finally need to book that trip and go travel somewhere abroad, if you know, have that court case pending, or if you need to learn about something and grow in some way, then retrograde's going to ask you to slow down and going to point it out to you what it is that you need to grow on, what it is you need to develop it on, and yeah, what changes it is that you need to make in terms of these areas. And by the end of this transit, by March 2023, you should feel like if you take up a new course of study, then I wouldn't be surprised if by March 2023 you feel very confident in it. You feel very set in what it is you're learning. You feel like, yeah, this was the right decision, or yeah, this has been really good for me. You feel really comfortable with where you're at. It could also be during this whole transit, could be a time where you travel. Obviously, I know travel is very restricted at the minute, but there could be a lot of travel for you, or you could have this strong desire. You could learn about a lot of places, or have a lot of intuitive nudges about places that you need to go and visit. Like for me, it was a few years ago now, but when I traveled to Rome, that was very, very like much of it just deeply connected with me. And I learned a lot. I really loved that place as a special place in my heart, and I just really deeply connected with that place. And you might get little nudges about places, even if you don't do any physical travel, that you need to go to and travel to for you to learn about that culture and for you to learn about that place as well. And yeah, so pay attention if there's any, during the retrograde period, any places that come up that you want to travel to at some point in the future, because they could be very important for you and they could be very key places for you to go to. But a big theme is just about learning. What do you need to learn about? What do you need to grow through? And like I said, law, religion, if you need to deepen your connection with your religion, or if you want to just generally learn about other religions, other cultures, or even cross-cultural relationships. Some of you guys could be getting into cross-cultural relationships, or you're just asked to learn more about that. So if you have your Saturn transiting through your 10th house, the 10th house is all about your career, your long-term goals, your status in life, your public image, your reputation, fame, masculinity, fathers, all this sort of thing. This is where all your main lessons, your main growth, your main karma is going to be from now until March 2023. So when Saturn is retrograde in this time, it can bring up some insecurities around your career. Are you really fulfilling what it is that you're meant to be doing? Are you really on the right path? You know, are you actually good enough to be doing these things? It's a time where if you have been wanting to, if you do something in the public image, if you're in the spotlight in some way, or you have some sort of level of fame, then during the retrograde, that could all get really heightened for you if you've been working on it. Let's say, for example, a YouTube channel. I mean, a lot of that comes under the 11th house because social media comes under the 11th house, but let's just use it as an example. If you've been working on it and you've not really been getting much success at it, but you've been working at it persistently and you've not given up, then during the retrograde, you could see like an increase. You could just see a boost of that. All of a sudden you get loads of subscribers or you get loads of views, and just relate that to any other area of life, wherever you've been working on it, whatever your career is or your long-term goals. If you've been working on them and you've not been getting any reward from it, then the retrograde could really see that happen for you guys. Could be a really, really good time of return for you guys if you've been working on it. Your public image could improve. You could start getting a lot of recognition and success, and you could start to even just become generally more popular and more popular in your social circles. And again, that's a little bit more 11th house for me, but your public image in general is, people will start to recognize your work a lot more. And yeah, if you've been working hard, this can be a very, very good time for you. But if there's certain areas where you have been lacking, certain things that you need to be putting more work into, putting more effort into in terms of your career, in terms of your long-term goals, in terms of your public image or whatever, or even in terms of your relationship with men or your relationship with your father, whatever changes need to be made in this area is going to become a little bit more apparent to you during the retrograde. It's going to become a little bit more apparent to you during the retrograde period. And so yeah, whatever changes need to be made in this area is gonna, this could come to you in any ways. It could come to you through dreams, or through other people, or through your conversations with even just how you feel about yourself, your intuition. You could get little signs about it, you could read about it, somebody could give you some sort of advice. And yeah, so pay attention to what sort of things come up during the retrograde period from now until October, in terms of your career, public image, your goals, your masculinity, your father, and whatever needs to change for you to grow from is going to be apparent during this time. So if you are an Aries rising, you have your Saturn transiting through your 11th house. Your 11th house is all about your groups, your social circle, your friends, technology, social media, your hopes and your wishes and your dreams for the future. And it's all about humanitarianism as well. You know, the way that you look after the world and other people around you, and how much of a humanitarian you really are, and how much good you do for society and for the people in the world. So all of these sort of areas are going to come up for review during, well, these are going to be your main area of lessons and growth during your Saturn transit up until March 2023. Your main area of lessons. And so whichever area needs improvement, if you are in unfulfilling social circles, if you are a part of a group of friends that no longer really fit you and fit your vibe and offer you what you need in order to grow as a person, then you could be asked to make a difficult decision and leave that social circle, leave those friends behind, so that you can find your actual circle, so that you can find your soul tribe. You know, your relationships with your friends could be extra heightened at this time, and could be a very good time for you and your friends, your social circle. You could feel very popular at this time. It depends on what's going on individually for you. You could be asked to be, by the universe, you could be asked to be more of a humanitarian, to look after the world, where you're not doing your bit could come up and could be more apparent. You know, if you're somebody who litters, if you're somebody who doesn't recycle, if you know, whatever that you can do to help look after the planet a little bit more can start to come up for review during the retrograde period. If any of you guys are on social media, if you've been working at it, if you've been working hard and you've been putting in the effort to grow a social media platform of some kind, then you could see a really, really good return for that during the retrograde period from now until October. You could start to become a lot more popular. You could start to see your subscribers and views really increase, because Saturn wants to reward you. Saturn wants to reward you in this area, because this is where you've been working hard. For some of you guys, you could actually finally have the desire to start a social media channel, to set something up and start putting yourself out there. And yeah, you could see yourself get that desire finally to push yourself in, to put yourself out there more, to make yourself more a part of the spotlight. And yeah, your dreams, your wishes, your goals for the future are all going to become very important to you. Where you have not been putting enough effort into them is going to get pointed out during the retrograde. What it is that you can really do to make these dreams and a reality is going to get pointed out during the retrograde. And again, this could get pointed out in many ways. This could get pointed out in your dreams, through what other people say to you, through your intuition, through signs and messages from the universe somehow. Ways in which you need to start actualizing your dreams, so that they're not just dreams anymore, so that your dreams and goals are reality. Ways in which you need to start putting in action is going to be apparent during the retrograde period. So really take note of your intuition and take note of what the universe is trying to tell you at this time, what it is that you need to change in terms of your dreams, your wishes, your friends, your social circle, any groups that you're involved in. If you're a part of a social group somehow, take note of what comes up. Again, you could be asked to leave that group. You could be asked to step up and take a bit more of a role in that group and get a bit more dedicated to it. And however you can do your bit to look after society, look after the world, look after the people around you is also going to come up for review. If you've been doing all these things and all this is going really well, you're going to see rewards in this area. You're going to see your friends, your friendships really loving you. Your social circle might start to really praise you and, you know, and recognize that hard work that you've been doing. You, like I said, could get that increase in your boost of subscribers or views if you have a social media channel. Your wishes and dreams could finally start to come true. And this could be a really, really beneficial time for you if you've been putting in the work to all those things. If you've not been putting in the work, Saturn's going to try and make it a bit more obvious to you. He's going to ease up on the challenges and he's going to try and make it a little bit more obvious to you what it is that needs your attention, so that it can make all these things a reality for you, so that it can make all these dreams come true, so that by the end of the transit, by March 2023, you really are at a place where you know how it is you're going to make your dreams come true if they haven't already. You know what it is you're going to do. You're working towards it. Your social circles are doing good. You're at least not in toxic circles. You might not necessarily have found your soul tribe if you need to. You could do, but at least you won't be in toxic ones anyway. You won't be in unfulfilling friendships anymore or unfulfilling social circles. And yeah, it can be a very, very good transit for you guys if you've been working in this area. Okay, so for a 12th house transit. So for you guys that are a Pisces rising, you're going through your 12th house transit, and the 12th house is all about endings, healing, closure, spirituality. This could be a time where you're spending a lot of time alone, you're spending a lot of time with yourself, learning about yourself, karma, old age, the afterlife, what's hidden. Again, this could be another like paranormal sort of time for you where you're just into all that kind of paranormal stuff. You get way more into your spirituality, you start to grow more, you know, you start to, your psychic skills could even be enhanced during this time as well. And the 12th house is all about your belief system, your subconscious, everything that's below the surface, everything that's not hidden, anything that's not a physical, tangible thing, but things that you know, things that happen beneath the surface. You know, that closure that you might get, you know, you never see it, but it's an internal thing. You feel it. You finally feel closure for things. Stuff like this. So any area of your life where, you know, this could be a difficult transit. I'm not going to lie to you guys. This could be a very difficult transit. It depends on everybody's individual life. But this could be a time where you're doing a lot of purging, where you're doing a lot of cleansing, where you're doing a lot of having to let go of things that don't work for you anymore, having to let go of the old you. You might have to be, you know, you might have to let go of limiting belief patterns and thought patterns and limiting self-talk, and how you view yourself and the world could be totally changed by the end of this transit. But it's all because when you end this transit in March 2023 and you begin a new, like a whole new cycle, you go back into that first house Saturn transit. You know, the first house is all about newness, new beginnings. It's all about back to you. And you can't take any old baggage, any old lessons, any old karma. This could be a time where you get a lot of karma. This could be good, could be bad. Again, it depends on you and your life. But it's you're getting it all now, so that when you go into that new cycle, you're not carrying any of that old baggage with you. You're not carrying any of that old stuff with you. And you can feel a lot lighter. So things might feel pretty heavy for you guys during this transit, or at least during the first half of it. And then maybe halfway through 2022, things might start to lighten up a lot more for you guys. Things can feel really heavy, but by the end of the transit, you're going to feel a lot lighter. You're going to feel a lot more cleansed. You're going to feel a lot more connected to to you and to spirit. Your, like I said, your spirituality could increase. I'm telling you guys, Mercury retrograde's just your spirituality could increase, your psychic skills could increase, your whole interest in the afterlife, in spirits, in all this kind of stuff could increase. Might not, again, just depends. You might want to learn about more stuff to do with spirituality, the fact that you're watching astrology, you know, any other things. So while Saturn is retrograde, all your lessons, your karma, is going to ease off a little bit for you guys. You're going to get a little bit of a break, and it's going to become a little bit more obvious what it is that you need to let go of, what it is that's trying to close out, what it is that you need to learn, what karma it is you're trying to get. It's going to become a little bit more obvious to you, and it's going to help you to make the change. Whatever changes you need to make, whatever growth you need to go through, whatever you need to let go of, it's going to just become a little bit more obvious to you. Saturn's not going to be as harsh with you guys, and the retrograde's going to be a good time for you guys where things slow down, the lessons kind of ease off a bit, and you can actually see, right, this is what it is that needs to leave my life. Right, this is the closure that I need to go through. This is what it is that I need to learn about spirituality. And yeah, whatever changes, whatever area of growth needs to happen in this whole area of endings, closure, spirituality, all that stuff, your limiting beliefs and thought patterns and your subconscious, whatever needs to change and grow, is going to become a little bit more obvious to you guys during the retrograde period. So take note of what comes up. This can come up in many ways. It can come up in your dreams. I wouldn't be surprised if it was especially so for you guys. It would especially came up through like your dreams, through your intuition, through you know, channeled messages, or if it came up in any sort of spiritual way, I wouldn't be surprised for any of you guys. But take note of things other people say to you. You know, you might have a conversation with a friend and they talk to you about, you know, you really need to let that guy from your past go. You know, you really need to like leave him be. Stop holding on to him because he's not good for you. Or whatever it is, you know, if you're holding on to past guilt that happened, or if you're holding on to anything from the past, you know, pay attention to what comes up, and pay attention to, like, other people could say it to you, you could read it, you could see the sign somehow, you could hear about it, you could intuitively know about it, you could have a dream about it. Pay attention to what comes up in these sort of areas, and if you can work with it and work through it during the retrograde period, and then stick with it during Saturn direct, or at least start to at least recognize what it is, so that when Saturn goes direct you can make those changes and start implementing that, then by the end of the transit you'll be feeling so much better. By March 2023 you guys will be in such a different place. You'll feel so much more centered, you'll feel so much more at peace, you will feel so much more connected to not only yourself but to life and to the universe and all that. And like I said, it can be a difficult cycle. Not necessarily, you know, again, not necessarily. It depends on what you're going through. It depends on your life. It depends on what lessons you need to go through. You know, this could be a very good time for you, but I think for a lot of people it can feel a bit challenging. It can feel difficult to let go of the old self, to shed the ego and to let go of what no longer serves. So there you have it. That's what I have for you guys, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.